Welcome to the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, your guide to motorsports sponsorship. Here's your host, Josh Weesey.
Hey, welcome to our second ever live recording of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast. This episode was actually recorded on Facebook live on March 5th of 2018. Thomas Affeldt of Sledders R Us, who was originally featured on episode 48 of this podcast. Thomas came on to discuss how networking and relationship building can boost your sponsorship program. So that's what the episode's about. It might sound a little bit different from other ones. It was recorded live, so the sound quality is a little bit different. It doesn't have the same editing, but definitely take a listen to it. If you want to go back and watch the video, it's available on YouTube and also on our Sponsored Rider Club podcast Facebook page. So that's it. I'm not going to give too much more an intro. We're going to hop right into this episode.
Hey, how's it going? We are back again. This is round 2 of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast live experience. So I appreciate everybody for coming into the show last time. Got some great feedback overall. During this first part, as I kind of get things rolling, I want to explain the intent of the podcast, give you some background there. So the purpose for the entire podcast is to help people better navigate the complex world of motorsports sponsorship. And it's not always an easy thing. There's not necessarily a recipe that defines the exact things you need to do for sponsorship. So I interview people, and they help give us examples of how this whole thing works. So if you haven't already heard any other episodes, go ahead and check some of those out. This version, though, this live version is intended to be an extension of the podcast where we dive into some specific topics. So last week, or 2 weeks ago now, I guess at this point, me and Travis Pointer dove into one specific topic around basically converting your sponsorship product into sponsorship dollars. So if you want to go back and check that out, I highly recommend it. This one, though, we're taking it a little bit different route. We've got Thomas Affeldt coming on from Sledders R Us. And Thomas was on episode 48 of this show, and he absolutely killed it. So if you do want to hear his entire episode, go ahead and download that. I put the link in the Facebook Live video, but episode 48, check it out. It was phenomenal. We got really good feedback from that show. Outside of that, we're going to really take this one to a different level in terms of networking and how relationships help your sponsorship program. So if anybody knows Thomas, like, he's all about networking. That's how we met, him and I met. And he knows everybody, it seems like, especially in the sledding community. So we're going to talk about how that's helped him in his program. Before we actually bring Thomas on, I just want to thank a couple of people. First, just the audience in general have had really good feedback from the last show. Really grateful for Travis to help put his neck out there and trying this thing out. First time last time we did this, so I appreciate his support. And just in general, the sponsors that have helped make the podcast a success. So we've got several people on board for that. If you're listening right now, feel free to invite other folks so that they can experience this live. And if not, you can always share this later as well. And this is going to be released on our podcast as a different episode. So basically, I'm releasing them as Live 1, Live 2, Live 3, and it's just going to be intermixed with the other episodes. So if you missed this for whatever reason, you can go ahead and download it there. But yeah, at this point, I think I'm going to start bringing Thomas on the line. An invite here in a minute, and then you'll be able to see him and chat with him as well. Also, the crazy thing right now is, for whatever reason, I scheduled this on the same night as the Polaris snowmobile and UTV reveal. Like, what was I thinking? There's so much going on with that. Like, my phone's getting blown up from that too. So it's just a horrible choice of time. But right, Thomas? It's bad timing. Yeah, Polaris reveal.
Yeah, it could be a good timing. Everybody's out there checking everything out. So
yeah.
It's worked out pretty good, I guess. Here we go.
Oh, I see you got your new shirt on, man. Repping the new shirt.
Yes, yes.
That's sweet, man. That's sweet. Yeah, for people who don't know, Thomas has been experimenting with some screen printing at his house there, so he's got some cool stuff coming.
Yeah, we're gonna have lots of cool stuff coming out. I worked on a little bit of like a purpley metallic that turns into like a red today, so that was fun and interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool stuff, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you again coming on tonight and chatting. I know you got a busy schedule. And if I remember correctly, you probably spend like 6 or 7 hours a day on Instagram to just like managing that stuff. So I know it takes a while between school and working and Instagram and all that stuff to come on. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. It takes a lot of time. I've actually toned down my Instagramming to like 4 hours.
Oh, it's scaling way back.
I got to try and focus on school a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is what I want to talk about today, and it's something that I think you're good at. Otherwise, I wouldn't have you coming and talking about it. But that's networking and relationships, how that helps your sponsorship program. So, I mean, let's just kind of kick it off. What are some of your thoughts on the topic?
Well, networking, you can't really go bad with it unless you're just like, hey, give me a sponsorship. Hey, I wear your gear, give me a sponsorship. I mean, you really just need to become friends and network the way with your like friends and family. So the more you know, the more connections you have, the better. I've not met anybody who has like, oh, I don't know anybody who's going to do this or this, so I'm just going to ask somebody on this group. It's not going to work like that. You need to know people within the industry and gain more friends in the industry to understand it.
Mm-hmm. So how does that start, man? I mean, I never knew. I mean, 2-3 years ago, if you'd have told me to do this, I would have probably chuckled and laughed a little bit. I had no idea how to do it. So how do people do this?
Well, basically the way I got started in it is I just started my Instagram, and then I started talking with some companies and some riders who were into the sport, and they directed me to other people to talk to get more in depth with Sledders R Us. So that really helped me. So the way other people can get into with the networking is just getting yourself out there. I know it's hard to like have an actual like email conversation. So if you can have like a phone call or in person, that works way better because you're actually talking and communicating with somebody. Texting and email, it's fine, but it's not going to guarantee that anything's going to actually go anywhere. And it's a lot more business related and less on a personal level. And with networking, you want that personal connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this kind of reminds me of how you and I guess, took our relationship to the next level. And that was like, I was messaging you about a snowmobile advice or something. You said, hey, why don't we just call real quick? And I think we did like a Facebook audio call, and we chatted for like a half hour. And then I think after that, maybe is when we decided, let's do a podcast episode. And then after that, I mean, even last night we talked for a half an hour on the phone about just random stuff. And it does help build that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. So over the course of, I guess, how long have you been doing Sledders R Us now? 2 years? Year and a half?
A year and like 2 months.
Year and 2 months. Okay, yeah, it's almost 2 years. It's rounded down a little bit. But so, I mean, over that time, if you could put a number on it, I mean, how many relationships do you think you formed? Just ballpark.
Easily 1,000.
I mean, how do you keep track of that?
I just go through all my messages. Even if I'm not talking with them currently, I'll go back and look through and see what we talked about. So then I can always refer to them later on and then make notes about it, like on my computer and stuff like that. So I kind of have a little bit more organized. But I mean, I can get you the exact numbers on that later. I know I got a spreadsheet for it, but
oh, okay. Well, that's something there too, right? The spreadsheet. So that's a tool that you probably use. I know I do something similar, especially with the podcast and different businesses. I'm trying to make connections, trying to pull people in, and I have to keep track of it in a spreadsheet. So I do the same thing. I'm assuming with 1,000 people, or whatever, yours is a little bit more intense, but it's a good point. I mean, it's something that people should definitely consider. Especially, I know some of these riders out there, they get 30, 40 sponsors lined up, and that's hard to keep track of alone.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you can get it all into a spreadsheet with like name, phone number, address, company, position at that company, when you met them, when you're going to meet them next, possibly have some extra notes in there. That way you can really keep track of everything. Because if you forget, that's not good for the networking or anything. They're just going to be like, wow, that person doesn't care about me. So you really want to make sure that you can either remember or write it down or do the spreadsheet like I have to get it to where actually like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, certainly. So actually for people listening right now, towards the end of this show, we're actually going to do a little question and answer session. So feel free to start shooting questions in as you're watching, and we'll answer one or two towards the end. So, and if not, if we can't get to the questions in the show here, we can always go back and answer them later. So going back though to how you manage relationships on social media, I've noticed that you seem to remember things about me too, and I know it's at one point we just we're just a messenger box for a period of time. And did you when you write down information on your spreadsheet? I mean, you're tracking things like, oh, hey, this person does charities, and I mean, what kind of information are you tracking on there?
Basically, just like a rundown of what we talked about. I don't even have you on the spreadsheet, actually. That one's all just from memory. So
I don't know if that's good or bad, but I didn't even make the spreadsheet. Oh, man. I'm taking you off my spreadsheet. You're deleted. Yeah, I'm going to do it right now. But.
Oh, man. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm just kidding, man. So I think from a Instagram standpoint specifically, you do a lot with targeting different people that I know a lot of times you call it your family of riders. You target those people, target their content, and you guys have an agreement to share and promote each other. How does that work? I mean, that's a huge piece, I think, in a relationship forming stage.
Well, most of the time we'll do emails, and then everybody will submit like an application, or I'll contact them exclusively. And then from there, we'll talk, see how things are going. If I'm liking like what the vibes the person giving off, or if I enjoyed their application. Next, I'll contact them through cell so I can have a good phone call, probably 40 minutes to an hour actually per person. So that way I can really get to know them and make sure that they have good intentions and all that.
That's good. That's good. Because I think this is important with any relationship you want to form. You want it to be the right relationship, because if somebody's representing you and you pick the wrong person and they say something wrong or they post inappropriate things, it could really put you in a bad spot as well.
Yep. Yeah. And I've had that happen already to where I've had to. But live and learn.
Definitely. So from a business perspective, I mean, you partner with a lot of businesses too, and I know you're in constant communication with folks. Do you have a different approach for that?
I don't actually.
Okay.
The way I communicate with my family riders is the way I communicate with my sponsors. So, I mean, with Sly Dogs, I've had like several like 2.5 hour conversations just talking with them back and forth. So, I mean, the more you talk, the better. The more relations you're going to build with that person, the more connections you're going to have, the more personalities that you're going to see fit with that person. And you can like bring up like, oh, do you see this new razor that just came out? Or you like that Skidoo 850 that's there? Like this and that. The more you can talk about it, the better.
Yeah, certainly. So last night we kind of talked a little bit, and I can't remember the exact story I shared last night, but there's plenty of other ones where like the random networking thing just worked out for me at least. So I'll tell you one example from Stud Boy standpoint. Stud Boy Traction, they're one of my sponsors right now, and the way that worked is I think I started just following them on social media, liking a lot of their posts. I've been using Stud Boy products for a long time, so I naturally wanted to spend a little bit more time following their social media. And once I figured out, I think I may have engaged enough, asked enough questions that they started following me. Then I figured out who the owner was, and then I figured out the next show they were going to go to. And ultimately, I wanted to get him on the podcast. Like, that was my goal, was to get him on the podcast. And so once I figured out Ron Patton was the owner, I think I connected with him on Facebook. And either way, we started talking more and more. And I said, hey, when are you going to be at the next snow show? Either way, I met him there. I knew specifically that he was going to be there. He was waiting for me to come. I was specifically looking for him. We connected, and he came on the show like a month later. Great show. And then now, he's sponsoring all my traction products for my sled. And that whole thing started, honestly, with just a very small relationship I think it started on Instagram.
Yeah. I think we also talked a little bit about, was it Shelby? I think it was Shelby.
Oh, man. Give me more, man. I can't remember.
Shelby from Polaris, and then you were going to start talking with. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I remember this now. Shelby Anderson. So Shelby was on episode 20 of this podcast, and she recently was accepted to an internship program. I think it's in the marketing department at Polaris, which is phenomenal, right? I feel like anybody in motorsports would be very happy to be part of Polaris marketing program. And I was talking to you, and you've got some interest in, getting into some marketing yourself. And so I was like, well, I know somebody who's doing that. You'd be interested in Polaris. And I immediately went and commented on Shelby's post, like, hey, Thomas, check this out, And it's just a very simple thing. And who knows, maybe nothing will happen. But sometimes these things actually produce a connection, and then it creates a network, and, we go from there.
Exactly. And the way I see it is the more friends, the better. I mean, obviously you want to know them somewhat. You're not just going to like randomly add somebody on like Facebook or like LinkedIn, which is another great source for what companies use. And actually, so if you can set up a LinkedIn profile, get a little bit of like a rider resume or like your business resume, so like what you do for work and the way you spend time to ride, the more the merrier. That way you can connect with people or companies within like divisions of like marketing. So that's my major. So I'm going to be graduating next year. So I can find like Chad, I don't know if that's his name, at like Bike Man for marketing, or like SPI or Starting Line Products and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if people aren't using LinkedIn, I do highly recommend it. I've definitely connected with a couple of guests on there. You and I are connected on LinkedIn as well, and it's pretty interesting because you can see what the people's titles are. For example, I had originally connected with BF Goodrich on Instagram, and I'd interviewed Nate Hunt from BF Goodrich at the Vegas to Reno race. And either way, I was able to figure out the social media manager's name, which is Scott Robbins. Turns out we had some conversation. We're from the same area. Like, he knows where I'm from. And it just happens to be where Matt Martelli and Josh Martelli are from. And they run the Mint 400 and Mad Media. So those little connections, it started a story. And now I'm really this close to getting someone from BF Goodrich on the show for a full episode. And it's just kind of weird how those connections happen.
Yeah, they can happen from anywhere. So it's just, you don't have to reach out so much, but you just need to maybe talk with some local friends of yours, because they might even know somebody. You don't need to reach out to like the CEO of like Fastenal or Polaris or like Articat and stuff like that.
Yep. I just see Travis Pointer hopped on. He was on our first ever live show. So, hey, Travis, how's it going, man? Travis is probably watching some of the Polaris release right now too. I know that's a pretty big deal. Actually, just to pull it in, Polaris has new 850 out, a new 850 motor. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
They also on their Razor, I think they're going with a 72-inch wide frame, so that's pretty cool too. But
it's very exciting.
Yeah.
And on their new 850, they have new lightweight Hyfax, new lightweight aluminum springs that are lighter than titanium, but they're still just as efficient. New thermostat, new mono housing. That's a new one.
Okay.
So, yeah. And, I haven't done a whole bunch of research on the Turbo S yet, but
Yeah,
I'll be doing that after this.
it looks pretty cool. I mean, get a little bit more width, a little bit more traction, you're solid. And that's
Yep.
cool. The RS1 just came out too, the 60-inch wide one-seater. That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. So,
Yep.
well, cool.
And what's cool with that is they're not upping the motor too much.
Yeah.
So they're really relying on their traction and proving that their suspension is up there with, I think Yamaha's got the most horsepower.
Yeah,
Not quite sure.
I don't even know anymore, man. I got to be honest with you, I need to catch up on things. I got so spun up with sponsorship, I forgot about all the product stuff. So I got to get caught up. But if anybody listening right now knows who's got the most horsepower, go ahead and throw it in the comments. But, well, you know what? Right now I have a question that has been on my mind, and I know that people have been bringing this up a ton recently. Facebook just changed their algorithms a little bit. I think Instagram may have as well. So have you noticed a change in your engagement or on social media, or have you noticed a change in how the algorithm's working for you?
I know I don't pay attention to Facebook because I don't get a lot of production from Facebook.
Yep.
Since it's solely on the decline. So I'm trying to focus. I do solely everything on Instagram. Unfortunately, Facebook is dying. But on Instagram, on my more viral videos, like 50,000, 40,000 to the 200,000, I see a lot more comments actually.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're viewing it more, but they aren't watching the entire video. So it's not saying that I'm having that many more views, but it's really nice to see that actually I'm getting much more feedback on the videos and comments and tags to other things as well. So in return, that's leading to much more followers and the new hashtag system to where you can like follow the hashtags for like, so I'm following my Sledders Are Us one. So like when everybody posts a photo on Sledders Are Us using the Sledders Are Us hashtag, I can go on there and find it right away and post it up or save it for later, which is what I've been doing with a lot of content. So they made it better than what it was before previously for sure.
That's good, because that's one of my concerns is a lot of people in the racing community and the riding community, they use social media to make new relationships, make new contacts. And, especially if you're focused on Facebook right now, gosh, you might need to try different tactics. I know for me, the live video honestly is a new tactic to reach people on Facebook, because it does generate a priority in Facebook's algorithm. But from Instagram too, I have seen a slight decline in the Instagram content, but that could just be the types of posts that I'm doing, or maybe I need to switch my time up. But it's definitely been a concern. I think people need to always keep an eye on that stuff, and when things are changing and shifting, you got to shift with them.
Yep, exactly. And I use like an analytics to track how many likes I'm getting per post at this time of the day and this time of the day, so then I can spread my post out more as well too. So that works kind of like in my original podcast. So, but I changed it up just a smidge, not much different, but I'm still doing pretty much the same thing. Okay,
good deal. So from a relationship standpoint, another thing that I struggle with, or I guess I don't know what to do with sometimes, is sometimes you just can't keep up with everybody, and some people fall off the list. I know for me personally, I mean, I've released 64 episodes of the podcast now, and I want to be like best friends with everybody, but there's certain people that I just can't keep up with. So if you run into that, I mean, what are the things that you actually do to be okay with letting some people go?
That whole thing just kind of. Can you repeat that? My internet kind of cut out.
Oh yeah. Basically, how do you let people go? If for me, I've had a ton of guests on the show, and I want to be friends with all of them, but I can't. There's just not enough time for me to have a deep relationship with everybody. How are you okay with letting some people go?
I mean, I'm not. I don't want to like lose a friend or like lose a buddy to talk to because on like random Instagram followers, I'll just message them and start up a conversation and whatnot. But for the family riders, for letting them go, that's actually normally I'll let them go if they're doing something that's against their contract. So that makes it easier for me.
Right,
I mean, it's still, I don't like doing it. I feel horrible for doing it.
Yeah.
I think I'm just that person to where I'm like, oh gosh, why me?
Yeah.
Why do I have to do this?
Yeah.
But I don't handle it well.
Yeah.
I can't handle it well, to be honest, but that's why I have the spreadsheet, is to remember everybody and kind of like go back and just send more messages back and forth.
Yeah. Certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at this point, just looking at where we're at with the show, I don't have any questions, I don't think, right now. So I know today we are definitely, fighting against the viewers on the Polaris reveal, things like that. But if anybody has another quick question, go ahead and shoot it out there right now. Otherwise, we'll probably start closing things out. I think Travis might be giving us some info too on the horsepower. I know he's talking a lot about the new RS1 and the Turbo S's, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty even. He's saying they're basically even stock for stock, so that's pretty good.
Well, then the additional width will give them a little more advantage.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. It's not going to beat me though, because I'm super fast with my fast machine. No, everybody knows that I'm not a racer. I just tool around. Like, I will definitely beat anybody at low speed, safe riding with my kids. Like, anybody. If you want to even try it, like, come over to the nursery and we're gonna line them up.
All right, it's like I'll have to meet you over there. I don't got a razor, but I'll have to turn my sled into a CVT.
Right. Yeah, Travis is also saying smash them with that new bumper. That's awesome. Well, I don't know, Thomas, do you have anything else, just closing thoughts or things like that you want people to take away from this?
Just the more friends, the better. Always remember, everybody, use a spreadsheet if you have to. Mm-hmm. If you can remember in your head, that's a good one. But wait, hold on. Is it the RS1 or the Turbo S, Travis? We might have a race coming up.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Any thoughts on that? Brandon, I love the new upgrades to the sled.
Oh yeah.
I'm probably. I need to talk to my dad. I need to get a full-time job set up for the summer, and then I'll probably be getting an RMK 850. So.
Oh, okay. That's what Brandon. So Brandon Becker was asking about that. Any thoughts on an upgrade with the new Polaris sleds? So yeah, you're thinking about it. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely am.
Well,
and it looks like I get the RS1. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Travis has already got bumpers made up for the RS1, so you'll be set right away.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. That way they can even know if I smash into you, I can just get another one too.
Right. I'll tell you what, man. I've got a new sled. It's a 2016, so it's new to me. But man, after seeing some of the new ones that are coming out this year, I'm like, I wouldn't mind getting an upgrade. Or maybe my wife needs an 850. Maybe that's the thing I need to play.
There you go.
She definitely needs an 850, and she doesn't even have a sled at all right now, but she definitely needs an 850. But
oh, perfect. There you go. Just put her on the new 850 Indy. We'll be good.
Right.
You can put the 2-up seat attachment on it and have the kids come with, and you're good to go.
Done. Well, cool, man. Well, hey, this is awesome. I always love connecting with you. Our time is just about up, so at this point, we're going to kind of close things out. If people do have other questions or comments, feel free to keep leaving them below, and we'll go back through and answer them later. And also, we are going to release this show on the podcast. So if you missed it now, you can definitely, if you don't want to listen to the full replay, you can always go back and download it on iTunes or Google Play Music or iHeartRadio, whatever. But that's it, though. So at this point, we're going to close things out. Have fun and ride safe.
Thanks again for tuning in. I hope that you got value from this episode. If you would be so kind to head over to iTunes, leave a rating and review, that would be absolutely phenomenal. And if you want to experience these live broadcasts as they're happening, go over to Facebook, give us a follow, and then watch for those notifications. We're going to be continuing to do these live interviews, and we'll be sharing them on this platform as well. So you'll have access to it, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or just through the general podcast platform. But yeah, I really, really enjoy this stuff, and I really enjoy the feedback from the audience. So please let me know how things are going, and if you have suggestions, please let me know. You can email me directly, podcast@impactfuel.org. At this point, though, I'm going to leave you with this. Have fun and ride safe.